Welcome to In the Thick of It, a podcast brought to you by Answering the Call. I'm David Fuller, the founder and director of Answering the Call. In the thick of it. You know, there's a lot of people who like to stay on the fringe. They tend to like keeping things safe. And then there are others who dive into what God is doing in the world and around them. Actually, they're ordinary people, but they're doing extraordinary things as they take the gospel to regions that are difficult to reach. Welcome to In the Thick of It. I think you're going to be moved today, hearing from our contact, our man of peace in the Nuba Mountains. His name is Yasser. We're going to do something just a little bit different today, and just listen in as Yasser shares his journey to faith in Jesus with us. I think you'll be captivated by it, as I was. His background is Muslim, and his newfound commitment to the Jesus of the Bible was significantly challenged as he converted from Islam. In each field where Answering the Call works, our first step is to identify in the region what we think of as the man of peace. The man of peace is that person who God has given a vision for his people, and then we come alongside and help them actualize the vision that God has given them. The Nuba Mountains is a war-torn region in Sudan. The people caught here have been the focus of a genocide launched by the Islamic fundamentalist government of Khartoum. Those who live in the Nuba Mountains have faced bombing, military incursions, and even forced starvation campaigns. But they have not only survived, they have thrived against all odds, and now they're beginning to climb out. This resiliency has been led by many sacrificial leaders, particularly in the liberated areas of the Nuba Mountains. It's also been fueled by ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. People like Yasser, who love people and care for their communities. Listen in with me as we hear an amazing, timely, and I think significant story of faith.
Yes, I'm born to Nuba Mountain in a place called Kauda. And I was raised in a Muslim background family. The entire of my family are Muslim. That's my father and my mother. This is the immediate people that raised me up. But when I reached around age of 9 years old, as I was working with the people that follows the cows and around. These children, some of them, they're raised in the Christian's family, and we come along with them, and we were like singing Christian songs every day as we graze the kettles. And that was in September 15th in the year 1997. I started singing a song that is in Arabic about going to heaven at the last day and talking about youth should leave these things of the world and focus in the things of heaven. By then I was still praying with my family as a Muslim. But then this song touches me so much, and September in Sudan in general is a month of Bible study in all the churches around, especially Church of Sudanese, Church of Christ, where also when I became a Christian, I was affiliated to. So I found myself going to attend the Bible study, but then when I got to that, still there is a fear that my father is going to discover and it will be a trouble for me. Then I go and I stand by the window as the pastor will be preaching and teaching the people. By the time he's telling people, now we're going to do the closing prayer, then I will disappear in the bush and I will run away so that nobody to see me, because once they see me, they're going to report to my family, and that's going to be a problem. And I could sense that, but deep inside me, there is a conviction that I need to follow my desires heard and the calling that, which I couldn't really recognize at that time, that's a calling. But I was just following, the feeling that is inside me. And still by that time, I even didn't go to school yet. But that move and that song in my life that was really moving so hard, and it really touches me. So at the end of the week, that is the week after 3 months of the Bible study, I convinced myself that I need to go inside the church. And I went into the church and we finished the prayer. And I went home. The news went ahead of me and got my siblings. And everybody was like happy because my father had 3 wives. And we are about 18 children by then. And all of them, they get very excited that now our elder brother has gone to church. All of us are going to go to church. And they went in the evening hours, they went to my dad, and they told him, Dad, our brother went to church today, and now we're going to go to church very freely. And it started that was on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, my father came to where we camp with the animals, like those cows and the goats and the rest. And he got hold of me. That's where now the whole scenario started. And that was around 9 in the morning. Started now beating me from that point up to 12 midday or 12 afternoon. And on the process of beating, he tied my hands backwards and my legs backwards together with my hands. And then it takes me like, I always refer this one like a ball, when you throw a ball and then you catch it up. Or it falls and then you can shoot it with your leg or something like that. So exactly he did that. He can take me and throw me up. And then I come and fall down and he'll start beating me and beating me. The scenario that I remember very well, he will ask me, say, you're a Muslim. But my response will be, I am a Christian, which he doesn't want to hear it completely. When he hears that, he consecutively hit me very badly. And my body went all wounded, and a lot of blood went out of my body. He took me from where we camp up with the animals and took me to the house because it was very close. And then went and got a big stick because the small branches of the trees become not enough for him to beat me with. He had to get a big stick, a bit that's very strong. And September, there's too much rain happens, so the water, the flow is full of water. So slight thing, it can run like water being poured down. So I could see now the blood running and coming out of my body. And then I remember I went almost off. I'm not talking anymore. I'm seeing what is happening, but I'm not talking. But I remember one event that I talked from. My father happened to hit my testicle. And I remember that is the time I talked, probably the last talk I talked. I remember I told him, Dad, you better get a knife to slaughter me so that you can rest than beating my testicle. Him hearing that, he felt now that is where the pain is. So he loosened the rope from my legs, but my hands were still tied. And one of my legs, he held it with his hand, and one of my leg stepped on it with his leg. And then he positionally hit my testicle intentionally, that is, because I talked. That's where the pain is. But that moment, I talked about it as a confirmation of the call that God is calling me at that time. Because immediately the first hit of my testicle, they disappeared. I don't know where they went. Then he hit me, but just the hitting was nothing. There's nothing happening again. And I realized there is nothing happening. So the other thing that is very significant to me in the occasion, when he's beating me, my aunt, my stepmother, she's called Layla. They were inside and they were just crying. Then she came out and she was telling my dad, "You don't need to beat our son like this anymore." So my dad, because he was having that big stick, he wanted to hit my stepmother. And my stepmother just slid and ran a little bit away from the stick. He hit at the wall and the wall broke down. I mean, that was I imagine if he was hitting my stepmother, couldn't probably be talking about her today. That's another also thing that is very significant. In the month of September, according to our culture in the Nuba Mountains, and especially in my tribe, you don't need to hit something heavy until it produces sound. So especially the older people will come around immediately. They'll tell you, "What are you doing?" I can't explain why that happens, but it's kind of like culture. So my father's house is under a hill. Again, we can call it a mountain, but it's not a mountain exactly. And then there was a grandma that is on the top of that hill. So she heard that sound and she called my stepmother, "Layla, Layla," for 3 consecutive times. But Layla couldn't respond because she's kind of like in coma. Now our son is dead. So she responded once by responding to the call, but she didn't explain anything. So this grandmom realized there is something that is not normal. So she came. When my father realized that she's coming, he consecutively hit me, and wherever he hit with that stick, the blood comes out. My father was telling that grandmom that I'm not going to beat him again. And when she was like now comfortable that my dad is not going to hit me again, my dad came running from nowhere and hit me like 3 times consecutively on my head. And it was very bad. Blood was coming out very badly at that time. And it happened, the other scenario that is very significant. September, all of the family went to remove the weeds from the groundnut so that they can clean it and it gets grow very well. So my father said, "Now you have to come with me." And it's a distance of around, let's take it at almost 1 hour to walk. But imagine that the blood that had gone out of my body already, I'm so weak, I cannot even step. So I have to scroll my legs as we walk. At a point I fall down, but it will still scroll me until I get up on my feet and then scroll and then we go. So we reach, and I went and I found my family and my mom and the other siblings, the elder ones. And I realized, my mom said, "I told you don't go to church, you refused. See, now you're going to die." I felt very hard in my heart, but I said, it's fine. Now, the tool that I was going to use so that I can remove the weeds from the field we were cleaning, the groundnuts, it was not there. Again, I have to walk a distance of 30 minutes to go and get that. September, the grass is very tall. It can cover you. So I stepped like here to that tree. And something happened very significantly, and it's a mystery that I cannot explain. But I just say it the way it is. I felt a power over me, and it's like I was in a drum inside, and it was closed. And then suddenly someone opened it, and the light came into the drum, and I felt that power. And I found myself, I'm on the top of the mountain that I probably was running almost 2 hours. I didn't realize I'm running for 2 hours. I found myself on the top of the mountain, in a house of another grandmother, the mother of my stepmother. And when she saw me, she cried badly, and she ran inside bringing water. But I had this scenario because I've been with the soldiers. When you're beaten badly like that, or you're shot with a gun, you don't take a cold water. Because if you take a cold water, it cools your blood and you die immediately. So in that scenario, you're supposed to take a hot water. So when that grandmother brought me the cold water, I refused. I was so badly thirsty. But I said, no, I'm not going to drink. I said, I'm not going to drink. I left that water. A short while, something like around 30 minutes, they started spreading all over the news that I am here. I realized the news will reach my father quickly and he will catch up with me. So I disappeared again. I went now to the top of the mountain. And in that mountain is where I stayed for 3 days. Day and night on the top of that tree. I'd explain where I normally come and wash my body to those of Nicole sometime last September when we were here. We went to that river and I told them, just it is down this river. It's when I come down in the morning at around 8, and then I will block the water. Then I get a small branch of a tree, I'll put it on the top of a big stone. Then I go into the water. So I have to wash the wounds on me and clean them very nice. And then the work of that small branch of a tree is to chase away the flies so that they don't touch my wounds, because until when I'm dry up, then I hide myself during the day in the cave, and then during the night I sleep on the top of the tree. During the day, I come out and stay with the children that are following the animals around that mountain. They realize consecutively 2 days I'm around there, and they realize where I normally sleep, because I go close where they sleep during the night and I climb the tree. And they went and informed my family, and I wasn't aware of that. So they told my family that if you want to get your son, you come at around 2 in the morning, because by 3 he comes down and he disappears. We will not see him until midday. I was not eating anything, I was not drinking anything. The reason being is the blood is shedded into my stomach. And I was carrying a stomach, like big stomach at that time. When I got to urinate, I urinate blood. Even to defecate, it's also blood. So I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat. And I realized again, scientifically, if that happened, then you can correct it that you're supposed not to live because of that blood in the stomach or in your body. But I'm alive today as a testimony. And that confirms the call of the Lord Jesus over my life. That's another scenario that I can't forget about in my life. My mother came in the morning. That was again. And she found me just coming down from the tree. And she took me home. I went and found my dad was seated with the same stick. And he told me, "Where have you been?" I told him, "You know very well where I was been." And he's a businessman. That time there is no vehicle, there is no nothing. If you have a bicycle, you're the most luckiest. If not, then you use a donkey. Take your things, your goods to the market. So by then, that time I become now the donkey. The donkey is going to rest. So I'll become the donkey to carry all these things. But it's another scenario that is a picture that was very clear to me, and it was kind of like a reveal to me. We have a mango tree that produces fruits this size. Got a black sack, and it was full of the mangoes. Two people cannot just lift it. So it was me and my dad and my mom. We have to lift all this together. And he has the bag that you can put on your back, a big one. He put inside that bag sugar, salt, clothes, some glasses, and some other small things. These things have to be taken to the market. And that bag was put on my back, and then that big sack was put on my head. We have to lift it all, the three of us, and I was the one to go and carry. A distance of 1 hour to walk from the top of the mountain, and then I have to come down, then I climb another small hill to the other side of the market. By that time, the wounds were coming out to get healed. But now the mango pressed the wounds. Now the blood came out again. The bark also pressed the wounds, and the blood's coming out again. The mango that was carried by 3 people to put on my head, I realized I'm almost like carrying nothing. Yes, I know I'm holding something, but I don't feel any heaviness of it. It's become so light for me. The only thing I'm realizing is the blood coming out. So people are like wondering what is happening. So I reached to the market, and I put the things there, and my father came. That is the time I realized we are going to part. When my father came close to here, to where the Jesus film, whatever is put, I told him, if you have not come with someone who is going to help you to carry these things, I am gone. From then, we never agreed with my father. Anytime we meet along the road, we start the fight. So I had no otherwise, I had to run and go to Khartoum. By that time, at the age of 9 to 10, it was very young, and I have to walk for 3 days to go to a place called Kadugli, so that I can catch up with a vehicle, to get a vehicle there now to go to Khartoum. Make it brave, when I reached to Kadugli, in the middle of the bush with the people that we are going with, we have to go and rest in a certain place before we proceed our journey. When people are seated like this, I don't sit. I just walk around them. I walk around them until they get rest, then we proceed. The reason is, if I sit, then my legs are not going to function, because it becomes so weak, it becomes like fractured. So I have to keep them walking so that they can be function. So when I reached to the place called Kadugli, in the morning I couldn't walk, I become like cripple. So I walked down for more than 5 days. I found another grandmother there. She took care of him very much. And it's my prayer I will meet this grandmother one day. I don't know whether she's still alive or not, but it's my prayer. She can boil the water in the morning and put the salt in, and then she rub my legs with that water until I get well. And I reached to Khartoum. I found the brother of my father, the immediate brother of my father. He did the same thing. He beat me very badly. He says, the same your dad did to you is the same what I will do to you. And they planted now to sell me out to an Arab people. But I had my uncle that passed away during this war. He was shot, dead. He was just coming from outside and he found my uncles, two of my uncles who were planning on how they're going to sell me out. And he listened to the whole story. After they finished the story, he never went away. He never parted from that place. He just waited for me. When he saw me coming from a distance, he came running to me. And he said, listen to me. Follow what I'm going to tell you very closely. This of your uncle, they're going to do this and this. When they bring a car of this, don't go into the car. They are going to cheat you that they're going to take you to the market to buy you clothes. Because since you came, nobody bought you clothes. Don't go to that market. And exactly, they came and told me about that. And I said, thank you for the offer. I'm well. So I had he chased me in his house again. And I couldn't be there because there is nowhere to be. I had to go to a place called Port Sudan. Port Sudan is where the Red Sea is. And I stayed there for 3 years and 13 days. I wrote the last letter to my father. And I asked him if he could still consider me as his son. If not, then I need a person to call a figure father in my life. So the letter went into the hand of a chief of the village, and he was forced to respond that letter immediately. So I came back, I think that was 2001, when the ceasefire was made. People were talking about the ceasefire in Sudan. And I came. When I reached, he accepted me to sit with, and I was freely given to go to the church. But then now that became a problem with my siblings. All of them, they went to the church again. So it became a trouble. One of our last born, which I took her to Nairobi in 2014, because she encountered the same scenario. She was the youngest one. They called all of us in the evening, and it was like, you are the cause of this, you are the cause of this. I remember the last word my sister, the last born, says to my father. She just stood up from nowhere in our midst. She was not expected to say anything. And she told to my father, Dad, go inside, get the knife, slaughter all of us so that you can be free. Or else, we are not going to agree. Then she went inside immediately. The meeting is over. Nobody talked anything anymore. So we parted that. I realized it's not going to help. So I had to go back again to Khartoum. I stayed there until 2008. May is when I finished my primary level of education, which I was working as a houseboy from morning till around 5. Then I go to school. I studied the whole that time. And when I finished, then I was also saving some money because I realized one day I need to go and do my grade 9 and grade 12 somewhere else, which is in Nairobi. So I saved some money. Then when I finished my primary level, then is when I moved to Nairobi. 2014, the last born of my family, who is my sister, she's called Hafaf, AFAF. She fell in the same trouble. She announced her faith officially, and she was beaten very badly. So the only thing that I can do is to rescue her and take her to the refugee camp in Kenya with another 3 siblings of mine that were growing, and they were very furious about going to the church. So I had to rescue them and took them to the camp. I boycott 1 semester of my university, not semester, 1 year of my studies, so that I can send that money to them. And I took them to Kakuma. Today they are very strong. Some of them, they have already gotten their baptism, and they're very strong. They are in choir, they lead the services, and that is what is happening. It's quite about this, the history I could tell, but I just want to summarize it to that point. And that's how my life has been. And until now, I met the team of ATC.
Thank you for joining us today in the thick of it. Great guest today. I hope that God put something in you today that you can apply and keep with you for a long time. Let me personally thank those of you who continue to pray and who continue to give to the work of answering the call in our world's most difficult places as we continue to stay in the thick of it. We invite you to visit us at answeringthecall.org and follow us on Instagram at ATC Missions. We are also on Facebook under Answering the Call. Finally, you can email us at info@answeringthecall.org. Send us any questions you have about today's podcast and any questions you might have about answering the call. We would love to get those and be able to respond. And for those of you who do that, we will draw from that pool of names, and for the winner, we will send you the book our guest mentioned today. That will be our gift to you. We look forward to being with you again next month in the thick of it. God bless you. Be well as you stay in the thick of it.